Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing dumper, birthday, Christmas and more. When should I contact my ex? Get your ex back. I provide audio coaching to help people try and get their ex back or get a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Check out my website for more details. www.dateme.tips. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing dumper, birthday, Christmas and more. When should I contact my ex? Get your ex back. So if you have been through a breakup, then it's very natural to be wondering whether or not you should contact your ex on special dates of the year. Should you message them on their birthday? Should you wish your ex a Merry Christmas? Or how about a Happy New Year? In today's podcast, I'll be answering these questions and more from both the dumper and dumpee perspective. Here are 3 pieces of advice regarding whether you should contact your ex on a special date of the year. Please listen to the end because point number 3 will include exceptions to the rules stated earlier. So let's get straight into this, and number 1 is dumper advice. This is for the dumpers, and if you are a dumper and you want to reconcile with your ex, if you've changed your mind about the breakup, then I do believe you need to reach out first, but I don't suggest you do this on a special date of the year. If you are a dumper, then you ended the relationship, and therefore, in my opinion, you need to reach out to your ex if you have changed your mind. I believe you should do this via text message or messaging app because this will provide your ex breathing space to take on board what it is you are getting across. It can be quite shocking for a dumpee to finally receive contact from their ex, the dumper, and I believe a text message or messaging app gives them some breathing space, you might say, when they receive this contact. If you was to give them a phone call, if you was to knock on their door physically, this can be very jarring, very shocking. So if you are a dumper, then please make sure you do this via text message or messaging app. But I do not suggest you do this on Christmas Day, on New Year's Eve, on your ex's birthday, Valentine's Day, any of these dates on the calendar which could be known as special, unique and prominent. The reason for this is that your ex, the dumpee, is going to be going through a very emotional time after the breakup. You made a decision that they had no influence on, and this is likely to put them in a position where they are feeling very confused and very emotional. When special dates of the year happen, this can really emphasize the feelings they have felt recently, and throughout, a dumpee might be feeling the pain years after the breakup. So certainly weeks and months after, they will be feeling very confused and quite possibly very emotional. If you contact your ex on a special day of the year, such as Christmas or maybe their birthday or Valentine's Day, something like that, there would be a level of expectation that your ex, the dumpee, will be feeling when they get this message. They will automatically be thinking that this means you are getting back together, and they are under a lot of pressure to decide whether they want to take you back or whether they don't want you anymore. This can be very, very confusing and overwhelming, and quite possibly will ruin their day. So if this is their birthday, if this is Christmas Day, if this is New Year's Eve, whatever they're doing right now on a special date of the calendar, they might have their day ruined. They might have their whole perception of what they're going through turned upside down, and this can be very, very jarring. If you want to reconcile with your ex, then presumably, initially, you're just putting the feelers out there, so to speak. You need to understand whether you could be compatible again. If you are a dumper, then you ended the relationship for a reason. And now you're starting to change your mind somewhat, but presumably you will need to speak with your ex and see how things develop. You certainly won't want to get back with your ex instantly because you don't know whether the same problems are going to persist as they did before. Therefore, you reaching out to your ex is more about trying to see how things go in most instances. And you don't want to be confusing your dumpee into thinking you want to get back together there and then, right now, on this special date of the year. Your ex-dumpee might be surrounded by friends and family. They might have only recently been able to get a stable mindset. You don't want anything to be shaking this, especially since you can't guarantee that you are going to be fully getting back together in the long term. Therefore, I suggest if you are a dumper, then you reach out to your ex on a different day of the year. Just make sure it's not prominent. Do it on that random Thursday. Make sure it's not their birthday. You don't want to be shaking up their feelings on a special day of the year, potentially ruining their day when you don't know for sure what the future holds. Message them on that random Tuesday afternoon, message them on that Sunday morning, but don't message them on a special date on the calendar. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast regarding when you should contact your ex if you want to try to reconcile. And point number 2 is dumpee advice. So if you are a dumpee and you want to try to get your ex back, you're probably wondering to yourself, should I ever contact my ex first? Should I ever reach out? Or should I always wait for them? Well, this is because, but normally and ordinarily, I do suggest that if you have been dumped, you should never contact your ex again unless they contact you first. This is in regarding my version of the no contact rule. And if you want to learn more about that, then please check out my podcasts on the no contact rule. I have a whole playlist on my YouTube channel, so please make sure you subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and listen to that playlist all the way through to fully immerse yourself in my reasoning why I believe that my version of a no contact rule will give you the best possible chance of trying to get your ex back. But there are some exceptions to my version of a no contact rule, and point number 2, dumpee advice, is really looking into this now. So if you are a dumpee and you want to get your ex back, but you've not heard from them since your breakup, then unfortunately, this would not fit into your situation and you would need to implement my version of a no contact rule. However, some dumpees have heard from their ex since the breakup. It doesn't mean they've got back together, but they've actually heard from them. They've heard from their dumper, and maybe periodically they are messaging, they're in contact, and they just don't know how to progress things from here. So what I suggest is that if you are a dumpee, then consider if you have had positive contact within the last month or so. Within the last 3 or 4 weeks, have you received contact from your dumper, and was it a positive interaction? If you have received contact from your dumper but it was negative, then again this doesn't count for you. So if you have been dumped and you haven't heard from your ex since the breakup, then no, this doesn't count. If you've been dumped and since the breakup you have heard from your ex-dumper, but unfortunately it was not positive, maybe they said some cruel things to you, maybe you had a conversation but it turned into an argument, then unfortunately, again, this does not count for you. And if you are a dumpee, you've gone through the breakup and you've reached out to your ex-dumper, then unfortunately, again, this does not count for you. You need to be considering, since the breakup, have you had contact from your ex-dumper that has been positive and that it has been within the last few weeks, maybe a month or so. If it was a lot longer than that, if it was 6 months ago and you've not heard anything since, then again, unfortunately, this doesn't count for you. But if you do fit into this small bracket, if you are a dumpee, if you did hear from your ex within the last month and it was positive, then I believe you have the scope to reach out first to your ex on a special date of the calendar. And when I say a special date, I mean your ex's birthday, I mean New Year's Eve, and I mean Christmas Day, and other potential religious days of your calendar if that is something that you and your ex follow in that religion. But they are the only days. Okay, so just remember that. Your ex's birthday, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, or another religious day or prominent day where you live. If that is the case, then you do have the scope to reach out to them first and either wish them a Merry Christmas, say to them Happy Birthday, something along those lines. Now, what you need to be doing is sending them this nice message and then tagging on a question. So something such as, Happy New Year's Eve, I hope you have a great new year. What are your plans for tonight? Or maybe you could say something along the lines of, Happy birthday, hope you have a wonderful day. Did you get anything nice for your birthday? You know, just something in which you tag on a question. Now, you don't want to quiz them, you don't want to annoy them, you don't want to look like you're prying. You know your ex better than I do, but just tag on a question which sounds very caring and that you're interested in them. If you just say happy birthday, then there is no reason for your ex to respond, especially in case they are busy. So you need to be making sure you tag on that question, which gives them the opportunity to reply to you, and hopefully you can start to grow a conversation from here. This might give you the opportunity to take things further and eventually arrange a meet. This is something that I discuss in other podcasts, so please check all of the other podcasts I've done on the subject of communication with your ex. So now let's move into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast, in which I'm giving advice of when should you contact your ex. And point number 3 is anniversary advice. So this is a very important point. As I said at the start, there's going to be included in here some exceptions to the rules that I've just mentioned, so please listen to the end. It's very important. So I wanted to give advice about what to do on your relationship and breakup anniversaries. This is something I'm asked about a lot regarding what to do when it's the anniversary of your relationship and also the anniversary of your breakup if a whole year has ticked by. Advice for these days, as well as Valentine's Day, will act as exceptions to the rules previously stated. So as I was saying in the previous points, they was all about your ex's birthday, Christmas, New Year, and prominent days where you live in the world, in your country, or other religious ceremonies. They do not count on Valentine's Day, and they don't count on the anniversary of your relationship or breakup. My advice for these days is to do nothing. Even if positive interactions have taken place within the last month, I would not suggest referencing an anniversary or Valentine's Day. This is because it could add pressure or assumption to your ex. If you receive contact from them, then I suggest you reply, but don't use these dates as an opportunity to initiate contact. So if you hear from your ex, then I do suggest you reply and you try to grow your connection from there. But I certainly do not suggest you initiate contact. This links in a little bit to what I was mentioning in point number 1 about how you can add pressure. Now that was just from a dumper's perspective, obviously, on point number 1, but this is for dumpers and dumpees on these specific dates: Valentine's Day, your breakup anniversary, and your relationship anniversary. These have huge connotations to you both, and I do not suggest you send out a message referencing them. It can feel very awkward for your ex to receive such a message, and they'll be wondering to themselves, wow, what a day to message me on. Why are they doing this right now? What is going through their mind? And it could add a lot of pressure. It can be very emotional, and it can push people to do things they wouldn't ordinarily. You could be in a position where you don't even realize you are very, very close to hearing from your ex in the future. You are very, very close to reconciling. But maybe you jump the gun too early. Maybe you message them and say, wow, can you believe this used to be our anniversary? Or happy Valentine's Day. Something like that can almost seem a bit creepy if it is done in the incorrect way. And I would just say, look, stay clear of it. Stay clear. There are so many days of the year. There is no need to send out a message on a day such as that. I've already given scope about what to do in general. If you are a dumper, you should avoid all of these days. If you are a dumpee, then under specific circumstances, on certain dates of the year, you might be able to send something. But in regards to Valentine's Day and your anniversaries of breakup and relationship, no, stay clear, do not do it. It sounds a bit weird when you think about it. You're broken up, and at this stage there might be no consideration of you getting back together, and yet you're saying happy Valentine's Day. That sounds a bit strange. Or you're saying, oh wow, do you realise it was a year ago we broke up? Again, a bit strange. And if you're referencing your relationship anniversary, again, it just doesn't sound right. So please, in all instances, stay clear of those days. If you want to get your ex back, then listen to the advice I have in my other podcast where I really go down deep from the dumper's perspective and the dumpee's perspective. But hopefully today's podcast has given you an idea of if and when you might be able to reach out in different ways. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.
Yeah, if you miss your ex, we can help with that. help you get them back, or we can help find you someone else. Yeah, Vincent Bo, the relationship coach, giving you some insight, bringing you a new approach. DateMe.tips, go and check the site, giving you advice, helping with your love life. Get your ex back or move to the next. Ain't no sweat, you know Vincent Bo got you. Finding love ain't no problem, yeah. DateMe.tips, check it out now.